starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn, looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters burning for the ancient heavenly connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of night. Oh, poverty and tatters and hollow-eyed, and I sat up smoking in the supernatural darkness of cold water flats floating across the tops of cities, contemplating jazz, who burn their brains to heaven under the hill, and saw Mohammedan angels staggering on tenement roofs illuminated, who passed through universities with radiant cold eyes, hallucinating Arkansas and Blake light tragedy among the scholars of war, who were expelled from the academies for crazy and publishing obscene oaths on the windows of this school, who cowered in unshaven rooms in underwear, burning their money in waste baskets and listening to the terror through the wall, who got busted in their pubic beards returning through Laredo with a belt of marijuana for New York, who ate fire in paint hotels or drank turpentine in Paradise Alley, death or purgatory their torsos night after night with dreams, with drugs, with waking nightmares, alcohol and coke, and endless bowls, incomparable blind streets of shuddering cloud and lightning in the mind, leaping toward poles of Canada and Patterson, illuminating all the motionless world of time between, peyote solidities of halls, backyard green tree cemetery domes, wine, drunkenness over the rooftops, storefront burrows of D-head Joe Wright neon blinking traffic light, sun and moon and tree vibrations in the roaring winter dusks of Brooklyn, ashcans ranting and kind king light of mind, who chained themselves to subways for the endless ride from Battery to Holy Bronx on Benzedrine, until the noise of wheels and children brought them down shuddering, mouth cracked and batter bleak of brain, all drain of brilliance in the drear light of Zoo, who sank all night in submarine light of Bigfords floated out and sat through the stale beer afternoon in desolate fugazis, listening to the crack of doom on the hydrogen jukebox, who talked continuously 70 hours from park to pad to bar to Bellevue to museum to the Brooklyn Bridge, a lost battalion of platonic conversationalists jumping down the stoops of sweats and tangerine bone grindings and the migraines of China under junk withdrawal in Newark's bleak varnished room, who wandered around and around at midnight in the railroad yard, wondering where to go and went, leaving no broken hearts, who lit cigarettes in boxcars, racketing through snow toward lonesome farms in Grandfather Night, who studied Plotinus Poe, St. John of the Cross, telepathy, and Bob Kabbalah, because the cosmos instinctively vibrated at their feet in Kansas, who loaded through the streets of Idaho, seeking visionary Indian angels, who were visionary Indian angels, who thought they were only mad when Baltimore gleamed in supernatural ecstasy, who jumped in limousines with the Chinaman of Oklahoma on the impulse of winter midnight streetlight small town rain, who lounged hungry and lonesome through Houston seeking jazz or sex or soup, and followed the brilliant Spaniard to converse about America and eternity, a hopeless task, and so took ship to Africa, who disappeared into the volcanoes of Mexico, leaving behind nothing but the shadow of dungarees and the lava and the ash of poetry scattered in fireplace Chicago, who reappeared on the West Coast investigating the FBI in beards and shorts with big pacifist eyes, sexy in their dark skin, passing out incomprehensible leaflets, who burned cigarette holes in their arms, protesting the narcotic tobacco haze of capitalism, who distributed super communist pamphlets in Union Square, weeping and undressing while the sirens of Los Alamos wailed them down and wailed down, Wall and the Staten Island ferry also wailed, who broke down crying in white gymnasiums, naked and trembling before the machinery of other skeletons, who beat detectives in the neck and shrieked with delight in police cars for committing no crime but their own wild, cooking pederasty and intoxication, who howled on their knees in the subway and were dragged off the roof waving genitals and manuscripts, who let themselves be fucked in the ass by saintly motorcyclists and screamed with joy, who flew and were blown by those human seraphim, the sailors, caresses of Atlantic and Caribbean love, who bawled in the morning, in the evenings, in rose gardens and the grass of public parks and cemeteries, scattering their semen freely to whomever come who may, who hiccuped endlessly, trying to giggle, but wound up with a horses, who walked all night with their shoes full of blood on the snowbank docks, waiting for a door in the East River to open to a room full of steam heat and opium, who created great suicidal dramas on the apartment cliff banks of the Hudson under the wartime blue floodlight of the moon, and their heads shall be crowned with laurel in oblivion, who ate the lamb stew of the imagination, or digested the crab at the muddy bottom of the rivers of Bowery, who wept at the romance of the streets with their pushcarts full of onions and bad music, who sat in boxes breathing in the darkness under the bridge and rose up to build harpsichords in their lofts, who coughed on the 6th floor of Harlem, crowned with flame under the tubercular sky, surrounded by orange crates of theology, who scribble all night rocking and rolling over lofty incantations, which in the yellow morning were stanzas of gibberish, who cooked rotten animals, long, hard, feet, tail, borscht, and tortillas, dreaming of the pure vegetable kingdom, who plunged themselves under meat trucks looking for an egg, who threw their watches off the roof to cast their ballad for eternity outside of time, and alarm clocks fell on their heads every day for the next decade, who cut their wrists 3 times successively, unsuccessfully, gave up, and were forced to open antique stores where they thought they were growing old, and cried, who were burned alive in their innocent flannel suits on Madison Avenue amid blasts of laden bears and the tank-top clatter of the iron regiments of fashion and the nitroglycerine shrieks of the furies of advertising and the mustard gas of sinister intelligent editors, or were run down by the drunk taxicabs of absolute reality, who jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge. This actually happened, and walked away unknown and forgotten into the ghostly days of Chinatown soup, alleyways, and fire trucks, not even one free beer, who sank out of their windows in despair, fell out of the subway window, jumped in the field passage, leaped on negroes, cried all over the street, danced on broken wine glasses, barefoot, smashed phonograph records of nostalgic European 1930s German jazz insulin, metrazole, electricity, hydrotherapy, psychotherapy, occupational therapy, ping pong, and amnesia, who, in humorless protest, overturned only one symbolic ping pong table, resting briefly in catatonia, returning years later, truly bald, except for a wig of blood and tears and fingers, to the visible madman doom of the words of the mad towns of the East, pilgrim states, rocklands, and greystones, fetid halls, bickering with the echoes of the soul, rocking and rolling in the midnight solitude bench, dolmen realms of love, dream of life, a nightmare, bodies turned to stone, as heavy as the moon, with mother finally fucked, and the last fantastic book flung out of the tenement window, and the last door closed at 4 a.m., and the last telephone slammed at the wall in reply, and the last furnished room emptied down to the last piece of mental furniture, a yellow paper rose twisted on a wire hanger in the closet, and even that imaginary, nothing but a hopeful little bit of hallucination. Oh, Carl, while you are not safe, I am not safe. And now you're really in the total animal soup of time, and who therefore ran through the icy streets, obsessed with a sudden flash of the alchemy of the use of the ellipsis, catalog a variable measure and the vibrating plane, who dreamt and made incarnate gaps in time and space, through images juxtaposed and trapped the archangel of the soul between two visual images, and join the elemental verbs and set the noun and dash of consciousness together, jumping with sensation of pater omnipotens aeterna Deus, to recreate the syntax and measure of pure human prose, and stand before you speechless and intelligent and shaking with shame, rejected, yet confessing out the soul to conform to the rhythm of thought in his naked and endless head. The madman bomb, an angel beat in time, unknown, yet putting down here what might be left to say in time, come after death, and rose reincarnate in the ghostly clothes of jazz, in the gold horn shadow of the band, and blew the sovereign of America's naked mind for love into an Eli Eli Lama Lama Sabachthani saxophone cry, 1,000